Hi, welcome to Penzi Halisi. I'm your host, Julia Omore, and today I have such a loving and amazing guest. And you know, they're usually so busy, and I thank God that today is such a beautiful day. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. and Mrs. Ziwa. Karibu sana. You know, he has a hard name, but he will say all his name. And Ziwa is from Uganda, and Lydia, lovely lady, Akiku lady, what? From Kenya. Wow. So karibu sana, karibu, welcome so much. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're so busy, but thank you so much for this opportunity, even just to come and share, encourage people. And you know, you're pastors. That's the beauty of it. And one thing I love about you, it's the love you have for Christ and the things you do to the community. That is so lovely, so lovely. So karibu sana, pastor. Yes, yeah. Yeah, so just introduce yourself, what you do.
It's such a joy to be here with you. You are such an awesome lady together with your husband. We celebrate you. Thank you for this show. It's an awesome show. Been following and watching every episode behind the scene, and you've done some remarkable work. We really celebrate and applaud what you're doing with this network. My name is Richard Ziwa, Zimbalist. Zimbalist is quite a mouthful, so many people call me Pastor Zim, just to cut it short. I come from Uganda, and I'm privileged to be here with my wife, Lydia Waithera Ziwa. Of course, I'm that much traditional, but I'm not that stringent to insist that she should use all my names, because if she says, I'm Lydia Zimbalist, it becomes hard. So I'm Lydia Ziwa. Be like, who? Which region are you coming from? But we are thankful for what God has been able to do with us, and what we've been able to see God do in us and through us in our Love Foundation and ministry. We run ministry alongside our community-based organization, to which we tender to the welfare of the elderly, the widows, and the vulnerable children. And we have social workers who help us to identify children in the community and meet their needs physically, but also meet their needs spiritually. It's one of those things that we're passionate about, that it's not enough to preach the good news of Jesus, and people are hungry, be able to identify their needs. Also feeding people without necessarily having a plan of helping them to come up with microeconomic empowerment programs that help them to generate sustainable income, so that they don't have always to be dependent on toxic generosity. You give us food, then what next? We come up with ideas of how we can help them to innovate, create, and sustainably help them to create an enterprise that they can run, and we hold them accountable to that moment, but also keeping them always in touch with the fact that life without Christ, without God, is impossible. It's a hard life. You need to know that you have a destination you're going to after you leave this body. But while you're here, you need Jesus to help you to understand, to navigate life with all its trials and tribulations. So that's what we do, besides preaching and witnessing the good news of Jesus, both locally and internationally, going to the deep rural communities and going to other cities and nations of the world, communicating the good news of Jesus. That's what we do with my wife, and we're really passionate about it. The other part of our expression of organization, we're committed to speaking on matters of family and relationship, because family is the cradle of every nation. You have a broken family, you have a broken community, you have a broken nation. It's one of those things you can't shy away from, to take notice that we come from dysfunctional families, so to speak. But as much as we come from dysfunctional families, we've been grafted into a functional family. That is the family of God in Christ Jesus. And God has taught us amazing truths and secrets that are working for us in our union. And we feel the need to educate others about them. One, we come from a cross-cultural relationship. I come from Uganda. She comes from Kenya. How do the two of you who think different come from totally different ethnic groupings? You do things differently, that you live together? Let my wife.
Yes. Lydia, karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
And I love the way you're just so compassionate. You know, like I love the way you're so humble, that you can go and reach out to people in the, you know, like in the slums, and there are not so many people that they go, or, they just take the way and they go to the slums and feed. What was the desire? Like, how the old, people really don't care about the old people. And I really loved what you did. It's a unique ministry by itself. Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting. It was inspired by when I was doing my thesis, my research on the elderly. Okay, initially I used to just love spending time with the elderly, and they will share their stories, and I'll find them very interesting. Then when I got to a chance, and I bless God for it, to go back to school, I thought I need to understand what they go through, and I went and did my research in the villages. My respondents were the elderly, and the interesting part was that they became my friends.
Wow.
They didn't even know they were part of a research. They just knew this is a friend who comes to visit us, and they would respond to me. And every time they will tell me, my people have not come to see me. My people. So that's them, getting to understand my people, it means family. And they felt abandoned. They will say with the technology, they are calling them, but they are not visiting. That's why my desire to just go back to see these elderly people and visit them. And I noticed that the elderly people we started helping as Love Foundation, they were taking care of their grandchildren who had been orphaned. With the advent of maybe the HIV and diseases, even accidents, some of them had been left to take care of orphans. And you can imagine, you have raised up a child to adulthood. Then again, you have to do it the second time with a grandchild. At that particular moment, they don't have the energy, even the income to take care of these children. And that's why we came in as an organization where we identify these children and we seek for partnership from friends. We thank God for friends.
So you don't have like people who...
No, we don't have we don't even have a grant. We have, we've been trying here and there after we registered as a community-based organization, and we believe God will make a way. Because where there's a vision, there's provision. But we thank God, relationships are powerful. We have friends who just come in and they say, you people, you're going out to, you have these families. Remember, like last year during COVID, some of these even elderly who are depending on, let's say, a child who is working in Nairobi and there's no work, and they're left to be hungry. So we would, mobilize friends, and we tell them, let's adapt a family. So we adapted over 60 families during that time, yes. And we would, and all this is from, people are generous. You'll be amazed. Kenyans are generous. You'll be amazed that they only need a platform where they can just, give. And they would come in and they will say, I'm buying a bale of unga, I'm buying, beans, I'm giving, even shoes, even blankets. Yeah, it was amazing that you identify the need which is there. And I think that's the part I love the most. Going to the community, identifying the need, not just getting to hear about it. We go in there, we have a very supportive team. Once we go identify the need, then now we intervene. And we thank God. God has empowered us to do it, and we know we shall even do it even in a bigger scale.
Yeah, and at the end of the show, you'll give out your number. Because I know there are people out there who will just come and support you. So now, tell us how you met. All the way Ugandans, and the way here the ladies there, where you came all the way from Kenya, and tell us how you met.
It's such an interesting story. I don't know how, but let me try. It's a long story, but it's a short one. But the beauty is that when you get to a place which is a marriable age, where you desire to get married, to which I pray that those who are listening and watching in, please, one, you must desire to get married.
You must desire.
You must desire to get married. And marriage is honorable to all.
Amen.
But you must understand that there are certain themes that work behind the scenes to guide you in the decision to get married. I desire to get married. So as coming here to Nairobi for a conference.
You were coming for a conference?
Yes, it was meant to be at KICC building in 2005. I can tell you the time and the date where I met her. It was exactly 4 p.m. It was on a Friday in Uhuru Park on 20th of August, 4 p.m. in Uhuru Park. The meeting was supposed to be scheduled to be at KICC building for Interbinum. Prophetess were Interbinum. Then it was switched because of the numbers that were there. The people at organizing it were my friends, so they gave us the international delegates ticket to sit in privy places. So even when we went to Uhuru Park, we were supposed to sit in the pavilion. But it was such a mammoth crowd, so it took some time to reorganize and arrange things. So we decided to walk around and go to the other side of the park while they're organizing the pulpit and the seating arrangement for pastors and international audience. So while I was there, I prayed the prayer before I left home. I was coming from Woodley, and this was my prayer. I said, Lord, send me a damsel for a wife.
Wow.
Yes, a damsel means a virgin girl who has not known a man for a wife. That was my prayer. So I got to this Uhuru Park meeting, and 2 of my friends who were with me, Pastor Desire, Dennis Desire, Dr. Desire, doing an incredible work together with Pastor Stephen, they leave where we were to go sit in the pavilion where the pastors are supposed to sit. So they asked me, Ebu, we go and sit that side. So I tell Stephen, no, you guys go, me, I'll stay here. So Pastor Stephen calls me on phone and says, hey, man of God, may God send you a damsel to encourage you. I say, look and behold, there's one walking towards me here. I believe she's the one. I'm looking to Lydia, who is walking towards me. She's on phone, looking for her friends in the same crowd. But by the time she ends her call, she's standing right in front of me. So I switch off Stephen while he's laughing and jiggling. This young girl, pretty girl, dressed in orange with long flowing braids with dark shades. She said, hi, like, hi. Someone sitting here, I'm like, I've been waiting for you. So I seized the moment right there. Now, this is one of the things I want to communicate. Faith is of the heart, but is expressed in words and must be made complete with the corresponding action. The same is true with the love. Love is of the heart, is expressed in words, and must be complete with the corresponding action. Here is a girl, so what am I supposed to do? So I had to assert myself, say, I've been waiting for you. Cut the long story short, it's been 15 years, we're friends, and we've been married for 12 years. Got married to her, and the Lord has blessed us with 3 amazing children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. But one of the things that I also should mention while I'm talking about that, I know for a fact she must have been praying for a husband. Quite unlikely that you meet a stranger in a pool of 700 to 1 million people who are present in that crusade, that you meet me. What an odd, but the footsteps of a righteous, to which I'm speaking to Christians, the footsteps of a righteous are always guided and ordered by the Lord. When you pray, have faith that God is guiding you. And when He's guiding you, He's not guiding you towards people who are not of like faith, believers. My quest was to have a believer, to have a Christian as a spouse. So I'm in the right environment. So when I prayed in the morning, unbeknown to me, God had already set the precedent right for me to bring a pretty girl for me. This dark shaded guy needed a brown girl. I always tell her, in our family we're very dark people. I needed someone a little lighter to complement the pigmentation in our family. And the Lord brought her. And she's such an incredible, awesome gift of God toward me. So that's how we met. Lydia coming to me, I give a call the following, then she takes us to her church. She was praying with Pastor Bishop Alan Kuna.
Wow.
I asked her.
So it's interesting. During the crusade, Bishop Alan was more like moderating the meeting, and he was speaking some Swahili. So that's why we started talking. He was saying, what is he saying?
I didn't know any Swahili.
He was like, what is he saying? So we started talking. I became the first translator.
And she told me all the Swahili I know.
Yeah, so that particular moment when Bishop would say something and I would be like, okay, what is he saying? He would miss out the Swahili.
Wow.
So I would tell him what he's saying. So the following day, actually I told him that time, oh, that's my pastor. Like, really? So the following day, let's go to church. I said, I'll take you to church. So in the morning, the only place he knew was Hilton. That's the only place he knew, Hilton. So I told him, you just stand at Hilton. I'll get you from there. Okay. So we went to church. So it was not a date, but that's the date. We went to church. It was a beautiful service. And we became friends.
Okay.
Became very good friends. At that particular time, I was dating.
You were dating?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I was dating someone else, hoping to get married. The way he said, a desire to get married was there. I was desiring to get married. And so I took him, we went to church together and went back to the crusade in the afternoon and met a group of his friends from Uganda. And the interesting part was, I felt like I've known these people all my life.
Wow.
Very friendly people, very, God-loving and passionate people. And we became very good friends. So after, I think a year, that's when he asked me, I told him, I have someone. Maybe I'm planning to get married. So he was like, really?
You told him?
Yes, I told him I'm planning to get married to this person. And he said, okay. He was even part of the delegates to come for my wedding, my other wedding.
Wow.
I even volunteered to bring a band for her.
He was supposed to bring a band. So I didn't talk to him. I was like, I liked one of his friends who is a musician, Milton, and he's a very good musician. So I told him, I like the way he sings.
Project Fame here performing for Tusker.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So I told him, I told him, Milton, I just love, he does a lot of country and rock and roll, and I like that kind of music. So I told him, on my wedding, that's a gift I want from you. And I told him, okay. So I was heartbroken. I thought that's the end, of me and marriage and, but he had been my friend and he knew what I was going through. So this is to encourage someone who has been heartbroken. Don't give up.
Yeah.
There are people who just close their hearts and they say, since this person disappointed me or hurt me, I'll never get married. And you see, there's power in words.
Yeah.
Once you're hurt and you say, Mena, you can call them anything, and you say, I'll never get married, you actually seal it.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, I love them. I love the ministry of Pastor Kathy.
Yes.
There's something, I remember that January, I was so broken, and I went to church. And she was preaching about counterfeits. I've never forgotten that sermon.
Yeah.
She preached about counterfeits. And I was like, wait a minute. So for me, it was my word. I said, I think that was a counterfeit. God, now give me the original.
The original one.
And you will know. And I remember her saying, once you touch a note which is authentic, you will know. So he had been my friend. So he got to know I'm heartbroken, I'm hurting, and he knows all that, what I'm going through. So by the time I believe, God took me through the healing process, and he asked me again. And I told him, I think if you're real and you're serious, let's go there.
You are not afraid he's from Uganda, you don't know him, you don't know his family?
No, before when he asked me out, one of his friends was having a wedding in Uganda. So he invited me to Uganda.
Wow.
And the interesting part was that it's like he had told everyone about me before I even accepted him.
What?
Yes.
So it's like,
If a man loves you, he should tell you. He should tell those who are closer to him what affects his heart. This thing of a man loving you privately, that is a recipe for disaster, because all abuse happen in the event where you isolate yourself. People will not know what's going on in your life. So if I'm in love with a chick, I'm already glowing, so I should tell someone who's close to me. So I told all my friends, man, I went to Nairobi and God messed me up right there. I saw this pretty girl and I knew she's the one. In my heart, I knew she's the one. But God did not tell me to tell her. So I sat on the thought of what God had given me in my premonition, in my spirit. I kept on brooding upon it. And that's the mistake some Christians make. When God tells you, you don't wait for God to tell the other subject. You think you should be the one actually to tell her. Yes, that time will come. But wait for God to work a work in her heart. Men, we hate rejection. Oh, there's no man who wants to go out to attempt to catch this wonderful, beautiful girl. And then she says no, and you feel good. No, men, we hate that. We want, when we go in, we're going for the kill. But I didn't know where she's at. So when she said no, this is the beauty about the same story. When she said no, and she said, let's be friends, I told her, friends we shall be. And we became good friends. Every time I've come into this country, I'll stop by, ask her out to have coffee with me in the company of my friends. So we'll go at Java, Adams Arcade on Gong Road for several years. Just sit there with the friends and just chill out, take ice cream and have some coffee. And when we're done, say, Kwaheri, see you. Then I go back to my country. If I'm coming to that side of Tanzania, I make an excuse to pass through here just to see her and just be friends. We talk about anything and everything, nothing excluded, and talk about it. She tells me, keeps me posted about her boyfriend. That time, me, I was not dating. I was not seeing anyone.
What were you feeling at that time? She's telling you about the way, and you know you like her.
There's no better word. I was hurt. I was hurt. But I did not know how to go about it. So what I decided to do is keep myself into the plan of God, pursuing the will of God as a minister of the gospel, doing what I was doing as an itinerant minister. So I would travel to different countries, different cities, different nations, different communities, sharing the good news of Jesus. In fact, it's in the process that I found someone I also wanted to date. So I found this university girl, and I'd passed her from Form 1 until university. So before she would conclude university, I thought we should seal the deal. Shock on you, I was in Kigali preaching, and I'm coming back on Valentine's to seal the deal with her. I came back to a road shock. She said, no, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm still young. Let's be friends. And I think I have a gift of being friends. So I kept her posted what has happened, because they knew even each other. They are friends up until this day. They knew each other. So I told her, well, what has happened to me, I've been dumped, and I've been dumped on Valentine's Day. It is not a good feeling, but it is what it is. So she's like, so sorry. It didn't take long, a year after, she tells me, I think I was also dumped.
Like two dumped people.
Now, while I'm coming from Kigali, the Lord quickened me to call her. And I called her and I said, girl, the first premonition I had in my spirit from the first day when I saw you, the Lord told me you're my wife. But I could not tell you. So you asked me, we be friends. I'm still at that place where we're locked in. I still love you, and I will never change that. So this was a detour, because you said you are seeing someone. But I know in my heart of hearts, you're my wife.
What?
Yes. So I told her, is there room in your heart? I told her, there was no room in the inn for Jesus. Is there room in your heart for me? You know, when you've been in the gospel preaching for so long, you don't have my lines, eh? You don't have a strategy. So I just tell her what was the most natural to me. And she said, you're full of jokes. But anyway, if you're serious, there's always room in my heart for you. So I told her, for that reason, I'm coming to see you. Do you know what period that was? Oh, because as done the year before, the following year, it was Valentine. I told her I'm coming to Nairobi.
Wow, wow. Just hold it. Just hold it. We'll take a short break. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after the break. Wow. Wow, welcome back. And today it's such an interesting day, and I'm really so happy. I'm so excited. Wow, hey, Pastor, what happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Here I am dumped. I get back to her, she's dumped. So I try to salvage the situation on her. I missed the need to catch the next flight to Kampala to celebrate Valentine's Day. So I arrived in the night of Valentine's Day. So I thought I'll catch up the following day. So by the time I show up, she does not have an interest in me. So here, I'm dumped. So I pick up my pieces. I call her, keep her posted. She tells me she's also dumped. But me, I was dumped on Valentine's Day. Now, when she says there's room in her heart for me, I couldn't wait for another day. I told her I'm on my way, coming this weekend to see you. Now that is in the following year. I'm trying to capitalize on Valentine's Day. Guess what? She's born on Valentine's Day. So I was born on Valentine's Day. Here I am. God opens a door for someone in my heart who originally I started with, born on Valentine's Day. I come here. I take her out and had a ring on when we were walking. You know how lovers walk. So I put my hand around her waistline, but in her back pocket, I slid in the ring. So I go to escort her and ask her, would you care to give me a glass of water? So she cares to give me a glass of water. By the time she comes and kneel down and I say, right there behind you, there's something that you have on you. Oh yes, a man should engage a young girl. And that ring happens to be one of the most special rings, in my opinion, to the young ladies. For anyone who's looking out to someone you like and care for, don't miss the opportunity to give them that promissory ring, that engagement ring. That promise to marry her. When you get married, it's the promise that you keep. There's a way they walk around. If you've seen young ladies, they don't floss around the wedding ring as much as they floss around the engagement ring. There's something special about it. I always coach and tell people when we speak of matters of family in churches and different organizations, small groups, mentorship groups, that you see, we the men, when we do that, it validates something in their lives. And as long as a woman gets that ring, that first ring, you don't have a denny, you don't have a debt. But if you don't do it, you have a debt. Because when they meet someone who has those two rings, they say, "Hii ring ya pili ni ya nini?" So when they explain about it, you discover, oops, you didn't engage me. I need an engagement ring. It speaks volumes. One of the things I want to pick on that subject, I had a joy to be friends with Lydia. We are friends. For any healthy, sustainable relationship, if it's going to thrive through the seasons of time, be friends. Be intentional with the commitment to connect as friends, because friends talk about anything and everything.
There's something I wanted to ask you. You said that you were praying for a virgin. Was she a virgin?
Oh yes.
And you know, Lydia,
and I was a virgin. I should also clarify. I was the oldest virgin at 32.
And that's why you are here. And that's why you are here. But you know, right now, Lydia, there are many youth who think that they are not virgins. Please talk about that.
Okay. You know,
and especially us from JCC, you know, like what was JCC, tulikuwa tumewekwa, you know.
Let me, okay, you know the interesting part, you can be in a church, but you have to have your own personal walk with the Lord.
Amen.
Because you can have a vibrant, you know, pastor, pastoring you, but you're not even understanding what they're teaching. You're just, following the crowd. You know, at that particular time, we were youths and many young people were joining the church. It was cool, the trendy church to belong to. So you can find that, people will go for keshas, but not everyone is inside the church praying. So it is more of a personal commitment. And that was my desire from the time I was a young girl. Like, God, keep me, for this particular time. And it's about, going through campus. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was
and
crazy.
You're pretty. Did you ever have those temptations? You're so pretty and temptations. Are they there? Were they there?
Crazy temptations. Let's be real about it. Because people think that you can just, it's just a walk in the park. It is not easy in this day and age.
It's true.
Going through campus, going through even high school, going for parties and all that.
And peer pressure.
And the peer pressure.
Oh,
I remember, every time you'd say like, You know, even there say, I'm waiting. I'm keeping myself pure. The laughter.
Yeah.
Like, I watch. You know, which man
will at this time?
there's no man. And I remember there's a word God gave me. And it was like, to the faithful, God is faithful.
Amen. Amen.
And
wow.
you know, most of the time we don't even pray for the men to be virgins. You know, I think it's more
for of ladies.
That your mom taught you.
You know, most of the time we focus more on the ladies, but not for the men. And I think when we're even raising up boys, you know, teaching them to honor women as they honor their own bodies.
Amen.
Because the focus can be like, you know, you're keeping yourself pure for who? As in who is? It should be both ways.
Yes.
Even you keep yourself pure as much as the the girl keeps herself pure. So that's a beautiful thing. Wait, and also choosing the company.
Wow. Wow.
I'm glad I had friends who had the same commitment.
Wow.
Same values.
Wow.
And I can testify they got married virgins. You know, it was every time we'd have those moments here, there is so much pressure, we'd talk about it and laugh about it. We're like, hey, body no wood. You know, it is serious. You know, the pressure is there.
It's there.
And you're still waiting, and you're like, you meet this young man and there's pressure. But I realized that when you have your values and your standards and tell the young man, by the time at the onset of the dating, you're like, you know what? I'm waiting for marriage. So if it's not for it, take a hike mapema. You know, when the bus has not left the bus stop, just leave early. So that people will be like, hey, if those are your standards, I can't. I want someone who's going to, you know, make my life happen. But for you, I think you're a bit boring. And I'm like, it's okay. And I remember the same thing my mom told me. Every time I'd go through heartbreak, and mainly it was because of the pressure for sex.
Yeah, for sex.
Yeah, and
you're both saved, and they're asking.
That's the interesting part. You know, you'd be assuming we're all in church. We should all be thinking about the same standards and the same purity. But you go through the heartbreak and you're so disappointed because there's another girl who is willing to give in the same, you know, in the Christian circles. And once it happens, the man decides to go where there's more fun and leaves you and your heart. So after he leaves, I remember my mom told me that was John the Baptist preparing the way for the Lord. And my Lord came. My Lord came. My Lord came. Because you can imagine when, you know, even when my mom was telling me that, I was broken, and I was thinking, what? As in, how could this be? And when I was told John the Baptist, I think it was humorous, it was funny, but later on I saw it was true. You know, where someone is just there to keep you for that moment where you need to be at. And I thank God for that. And every time even you look back at the life, I look back at my own life, I thank God. Every circumstance, every situation. I was telling him, if I had married him in that 2006, I would not be the person that I am today. I thank God I went through my own journey, that now I even appreciate him more. I value him more. But if he had just come in like, you know, I have not gone through anything, I'd be like, oh, I would even maybe take him for granted. But now I appreciate him because he was my friend first. And that's what we talk about much of the time, being friends. You know, friends will talk. Friends fight.
And they talk anything.
And friends fight.
Oh, yes.
Friends don't hurt each other.
Friends fight.
And it's true.
No, if you're real with each other, you really fight. You have those fights until you're like, I don't even think I want anything to do with it. The time I even told him, I'll walk. You drive away and just drop me here. I'll walk. Because the fight is so intensified. You feel like even telling him, I was feeling like when you're driving, I'll just push you. But let me just drop off and walk and let me cool down. So,
and how do you handle that after the conflicts, and how do you handle it?
Conflict in family marriage.
No, okay. Conflict will come. That one is a given.
And people fight.
You know, when you're dating, it's so nice. I say, everyone is in their best behavior.
And you try
in their best behavior. You don't even have a bad hair day. You just look good all the time when you're dating. But now when you get into marriage, you realize that, I think, it must be a road deal. This man did not show me that side of himself.
He does not even speak my language. You know, there's some fights only come out fine when you speak the same language. But even when you try to think of what to tell him, words defeat you.
And Pastor Zim, how did you keep yourself pure? You know, for men, it's so hard because they go everywhere and people will never know. You know, for ladies, something may happen.
You get pregnant.
Yeah, you get pregnant. And how did you keep yourself pure?
Actually, that's when it gets interesting. I always love to give the bigger sample space of where I come from. I come from what I would call a dysfunctional family. And we all come from the same, except that your story could be different from mine. But I had to look honestly to what was happening in my family to trust God to really guide me. I really had to benchmark on God. If you're going to keep yourself pure as a young man and looking forward to have a healthy, vibrant, red-hot monogamy kind of relationship, you need to draw from a source that is greater than you and the past you come from, and that source is from God. If this vertical lane of your opportunity to receive from God is cluttered, it's quite unlikely that you have this kind of relationship with whoever you want to engage into, whether it's family or marital relationship or business relationship. It's harder. So I looked at my family quite honestly, and I discovered there's a history of no commitment to get married in church. My father was not married in church. My mother was not married in church. My father was a polygamous man. He had a series of wives with whom he would have children with. There were 15 of us in our family. My mother, who separated with my dad, who was not the main wife, also had a series of other men with whom I had children with. There are 7 children. My mother is the firstborn of 70 children. So in other, her father is a story of his own. She's the firstborn having 70 children. That means chaos. Now, coming to my dad, there are things I'm seeing on a daily basis. How he works with his wife and the other families he would have out there. Now, for a growing man, it is hard to lead a lifestyle without imitating the example demonstrated to you. The demonstration and example that I was seeing was quite contrary to what ideally I would want. Now, being conflicted within myself, I knew my only escape is God. So I trusted God that he would guide me. So that happened that there was a couple next door, which was a godly couple. They were about 8 years old. But I loved their ability to love and care for each other. Imagine growing up as a young kid and getting to see elderly people calling each other sweetheart.
Wow.
Sweetheart, 8 years. Wow. And this man was a reverend in the Anglican church where we grew. Wow. And I'm like, now that is good. So I would keep always flocking their house to learn a couple of things, because I've never had my dad call his wife sweetheart. I've never even seen him touch her tenderly to say I care for you. I've never seen him carry a chocolate home, flowers and all those things. And now I'm thinking, I'll do miracles when I get married. I knew I'm in trouble if I don't get help, mentorship in that sense. So at the time when I was a kid, about 14 years old, there came a Baptist preacher from the US and was preaching about the glory of being a virgin. The emphasis placed on was not so much to the girls as for the boys, and that captured my attention. He said, in the design and the plan of God, he designed that a man will get married when he has not known any other woman except one woman, the one he will know on the night he gets married. And man, that seemed too exciting for me. Then he was so candid and legit that he talked about his own struggles. Masturbation, talked about viewing pornography, talked about the vices that would trip any young man who would desire to get married when he's a virgin. He said, I went through this. Then he told us how to avoid it, how to not to go that direction. Then he told us the theme that will keep us safe. He said, it is the fear of God that will secure you from all these vices. If you have a constant consciousness of the knowledge of God and the power of God at work in you, he will secure you first from you, 2, from your friends, and all these vices. And that worked. Then he said, you need to sign a card. It was a yellow small card, like a a business card, and say, on that card, I want you to sign and make a promise to God that, Lord, you keep me faithful to you and you keep me pure until the day I get married, the night I get married. I didn't even know what I was doing. But that's why I told you from the beginning, there's power in words. So I wrote down those words, but you see, pen and paper never lose memory. You might forget a couple of things, but if you write down something, you never forget it. I wrote down the commitment, and I said, Lord, I don't know how this would be, but they've told me to do it. I'll write it. So I wrote it. I'll stay pure until the night I get married. That's the first time I'll ever have my first sexual union. And believe me, the Lord kept me all through this period. How he preserved me through the journey of my life. God will always fortify me with friends with whom we shared same shared values, like Dr. Desire, and some other friends that are not here with me. But all these guys, we all seem to have had a natural commitment to pursue God, go after the things that be of God, pursue a career, go to university, go to college. But later, we knew one thing. We will not attempt to have an experiment with anyone unless it is going to be our wife. So every time one of them will see us being lovey-dovey with a lady, I say, brother, I've seen you so-and-so. What's going on? And you must be authentic to tell the truth as it is. And then if it's going to work out, I tell you, man, chill out.
Did you ever get like girls who are throwing themselves? You know, there are many ladies who love pasta.
Were they throwing themselves to
yeah,
me? Even though I was throwing myself to them. It would not be fair.
You know,
yes.
Like, you know, they come and tempt you. You know, like there is that temptation that this lady is coming, you know, like maybe, you know, like maybe wearing something, and you know that time you're a young man. Were you like, was there any time that you were so tempted?
Yeah. Too many times. Because of my work, I did a lot of schools outreach ministry for many years, for about 20 years. All I would do with a team of other friends would go to every high school and every college and every university in Uganda, just telling and teaching the good news of Jesus.
Wow.
Now, once you do that, you take cognizance of the fact that they are youth. Youth have youthful temptations. So when you're done, the young youth, when they come to hug you with all excitement. And the foolish brother might want to hug and feel all that youthfulness. But you see, because we would always work in a pair of three, we would always hold each other accountable. I say, brother, don't hug sisters that much. She used to know me, I used to hug sideways. Good to see you, sister. Not necessarily that I don't care to hug frontwise, but I would care to preserve myself and to protect the one I hug. Because there's a way man is stimulated. It's one thing to hug a sister, and your members downward, they are rising slowly but surely. And you're dying alone there, not talking about it. So these brothers of ours would always talk in a bold color kind of language. You say, brother, that brother down there must only rise when you're going to pee in the morning, and only the other day when you get married. In between, please calm down. I like what her pastor used to say, no ringy, no dingy. In a sense, we used to hold each other accountable. Regardless where you're preaching, where you're witnessing, we would keep ourselves in a sense that don't host young ladies in your home without the companionship of other friends where you can be accountable. So if we're preaching in a hostel and it's a night evening service, usually faculty fellowships would be in the night. If you go preach in the faculty of engineering or faculty of law, so it's an evening service about 8 to 10 and sometimes stretches up to midnight. What are you doing in the university at midnight and going to hostels of girls at midnight? We went there to win souls. So we keep the main thing. But at the same time, these friends would hold each other accountable. Believe me, I guarantee you, all these guys who got married when we were virgins. Yeah. All of us. Wow. We held each other to that level. Now,
it's good to have such friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when you're pursuing a particular desired goal, God will fortify you with people who have the like passions with you. And if you have trusted him, he's faithful to the faithful. Wow. That's why he was watching out for her, where I was not. But now, one of the things that used to interest me growing up in the commitment to be to keep the sanctity and the purity as a growing young man is that, yes, you'd have some friends who don't have the same shared values like you do. You come home and you find someone is watching some movies, and I'm like, please, excuse yourself. Though we had this bad habit, we just switch off the TV for whichever home we go to on purpose. People would strike out in anger and say, this is not your home, why are you switching off my TV? But it worked for us. Okay, when we look back, it was rude, but it worked for us. It's preserved us. There's some material that you see and like, that's not for me.
Wow.
You just intentionally walk away from it. So God fortifies with the right people and make you also a choice to make them your friends. The Bible says, he who has friends, let him show himself friendly. So if you have friends who are watching out for you, also watch out for them. We used to keep ourselves in prayer. One of the things we used to do, we used to be called the upper roomers. We used to give ourselves to the ministry of prayer and the word. So we'd retreat on occasionally over the weekend just to pray. We'll go for our school breaks, we hold camp meetings just to go and pray and be part of the youthful activities, and it worked out well for us.
I love the way you say that you are so busy. And there's something that my husband always says, that when you're busy for God, God becomes so busy for you. And right now, the young people, they don't want to be busy for God. And that's why they're being also involved with so many things and so many temptations. And I love the way, you're throughout, you're praying, you're doing this. That is so lovely. And I believe the young people are hearing that. So let's talk about culture kidogo. Like you being a Uganda, she's a Kenyan, a Kikuyu,
You can imagine what I was told when we were getting married. They asked me, are you sure? No, him being a Muganda, the kneeling. So they're saying they'll actually the bridal shower, the joke was they'll get me knee pads.
Yeah. Because of kneeling. But they do kneel.
Ask him.
She does.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Lydia.
Proverbs 14, when I say that, everyone says, not you. So I tell him, okay, you say, because if I say, they'll say I'm lying.
Yeah.
Because, the culture is different. That's true.
Yeah.
The Mount Kenya ones, eh?
Yeah.
We are known, eh? We are known,
from Mount Kenya.
No, we're as in the region, eh? Yeah. It's known, eh? But you see the beauty of coming from different cultures, learn to look out for what works.
Oh, yes.
Truth be told, he's made me appreciate my culture more. Before, I was not even so much into looking into my culture. And he will tell me, there are some good things about your culture.
Wow.
You are forthright. You're a go-getter. As in, you make things happen. So don't look at it like it's a bad thing. And you'll tell me that, and I'm like, really? But for many years, you've been told, tone it down, don't be this, don't be this. But even with taking care of the children and the family, you see, I was telling him, in our culture, Kikuyus, the children belong to their mother. And they're telling me, what do you mean? Like, yes, we name our kids from the, from the clans and all that. And you tell me, how is that possible? I tell him, the children belong to their mother. Then in his culture, it's very patriarchal. The children, even if there's a separation, the child goes with the father.
Wow.
So I told him, for that reason, no, we have to stick together. Because I can't let you go with the children. So we have to make this thing work. So I remember at one time we had used the bus coming from Uganda, and we had our firstborn. And the border guys at the side of the Uganda, they asked him, you're going to Kenya with that baby? He's like, yes. Then they're whispering to him, Akikuyu. So they're warning him. It's so bad. As in, they were warning him, hey, be careful. These ones, they run away with the children. So it was so hilarious when we crossed over. They said, for sure, when you know the differences, look for what works.
Wow.
It's like you're picking flowers, beautiful flowers in a garden. Leave the weeds.
Yes.
Because definitely, based on maybe your upbringing, where you have come from, it may affect how you relate. But I'm very grateful for my parents. I remember my dad telling me, in every community, there's a good man and there's a bad man.
Wow.
He was not tribal. He told me, in every community, wherever you choose to go, there's a good man and there's a bad man.
They didn't
Just
have any
pray.
issues.
They didn't have an issue.
Wow.
Just pray you get a good man in that community. And I thank God I got a good one, a good man from Uganda. So it has been a joke for, you know, in our marriage that I had to import a husband. I think I couldn't get one here, so I had to import.
And it's good to encourage young ladies. If among the genre of people you keep company with, there's none one for you, pray for God to import one for you, and He will.
You know, sometimes you're so limited. I remember, you know, like going to church and you're wondering, okay, could my husband be here? You know, when you're single, you have that desire to get married. You wonder, could it be that one? Could it be that one? And maybe it's not forthcoming. And I'm sure there are many girls who have been frustrated. They have been in a particular area for so long, very frustrated. Maybe they've joined the choir, they've gone to intercessory, they have joined the ushering just to be seen, and there's no one forthcoming. Let's be open-minded. You can get a man, as in this world is so big. He says the earth is the Lord and everything in it, even the husbands. So wherever they are, just be open-minded that God can give you someone who will love you from wherever. Just pray for that good person and that godly person that God has for you. Yeah.
Built to last is what I would pick on that one. If you build a marriage on the premise that you built it to last, the foundation should be God, because that's the baseline of your commitment to nurture. The foundation should be God, because if you have a commitment to nurture and foster a healthy relationship, consider God as the firm foundation, without which you cannot sustain any healthy relationship. He originated this institution of marriage. So if God originated marriage, He has a blueprint you should follow. It is written. And that what is written, if you follow that path, it will work for you. The trouble is people enter in marriage with a commitment to have an exit strategy. If it does not work out because his culture is different, her culture is different, I'm out of here. When you enter marriage with the foundation of God, you know that marriage is a covenant. It's built to last. You're not. It's not. You enter and then you're planning. Kiumana, if it is tight, I'm out. But when you know this is built to last, one of the things you capitalize on is that to understand that culture came from God. Culture did not come from humans. Culture came from God. Culture simply means every generation of 40 years has a way of doing things. The culture we have now, the next generation of 40 years, they are going to do things totally different from the culture of the generation X where we've been doing things totally different. And the culture of the generation before, 40 years before us, they were doing things totally different. That's why our parents are shocked at the way we do things. And us, we are going to be shocked with the way our children do things. Now, I discovered the way some of the cultural trends and patterns my family has been associated with and the ethnic group I come from, it's been evolving. It's been changing. There's been cross-cultural relationships. So when I knew God has given me a desire to espouse to myself a wife who is not of my ethnic group, one of the things that God prepared me for is a commitment to adapt. Keyword, adapt. If you come with a mindset fortified with your way of doing things, it creates what we call self-centeredness. Now, self-centeredness is the root of all evil in marriages. If you want to see evil, you want to see things go the wrong direction, separation, divorce, breakup, rejection, bitterness, anger, animosity, self-centered, you want to do things your way. And pride is always around that. Our culture is benchmarked in our pride. We there are things that we esteem to be better than all other ethnic groups. In our culture, we think a woman who does not need for the husband, that one should not be married. How come you think that way? Suppose, actually she needs, but in her heart she's standing.
Yeah, imagine.
It's a different thing altogether, isn't it? In our culture, we think that a woman should wear long flowing clothes that touch the floor to hide her nakedness. Who says she's chaste and faithful because she wears long flowing clothes? Actually, she'll be filled with the spirit of lust even with those long flowing clothes. You get it? Eh? So you must find a delicate balance to adapt based on your culture when you're married to someone who's of a different ethnic grouping, a different culture way of doing things, and God will preserve in that particular direction.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Now we are winding up. This is the last, the last shot, yeah. So, Lydia, please encourage ladies there out there who thinks, like being a virgin is old-fashioned, like they can't be that. Just encourage them, and please give us your number because there are people, and I love the ministry also you have for couples. We'll invite you again and again and again. So please tell us just shortly. Yeah.
I think because of when you mentioned about especially the young girls, I've had a passion for young girls.
Yeah.
Because I have been a young girl before and I've known the challenges I've gone through. And I started reaching out to young girls in schools and different organizations where I talk to them. And the program is called Becoming Best Version of Yourself.
Wow, becoming
best version. So I say of myself.
Yeah.
So it's a it's a 5-part series where the girls just, because the reason why there's so much pressure and even the teen pregnancies and the crises is because you do not really know who you are and your true value. But once you know who you are, your true identity, whose you are, where you're going, you have a clear vision where you're going, you'll get there. I grew up in a place where there was so much temptation, as in there were no role models of girls even going to campus. But being in that place where this is my vision. I saw my brother graduate and I said, one day, despite all odds, I'll have to wear that thing on my head. And it kept me focused. So when I get a chance to talk to young girls, that's the same thing I tell them. When you have a clear vision, getting a baby at 15 is not part of the vision.
Yeah, that's true.
So what do you do not to get a baby? I know in this day and age people are told, you will not fashion when you say about abstinence, just give them these options. And it is sad. There are many even now organizations that come up and they are funding. There's a lot of funding. They're giving young girls contraceptives at even 12, 13 years. What are we doing to the next generation of moms? What are we doing to them? So if we don't speak out, it will be dooming the next generation of girls, thinking that there is no point of keeping themselves pure. There is no point of, being chaste and having and following your vision in life. So the first thing, when you know where you're going, when you have a clear picture of where you're going, you will avoid all the distractions along the way and you will get to where you're going. Yes. So the first thing is if you're leaving this place to Mombasa, and yes, you'll find that the road constructions going on. There'll be challenges along the way. But at the end of the day, I have to get to Mombasa. So if you're a young girl watching, be sure that you have your clear vision. Because once you have a clear vision, it will determine the kind of friends you will make, the people who will come along the way, so that you can avoid all these distractions. And don't hate yourself thinking you're odd. You're not odd. Even in my day, I was told I'm odd, but you are not odd. In every generation, you'll be told you're odd because you stand for something which is not popular. Don't try to be popular. Just try to be unique, because we have our own uniqueness, which you should be bringing out without trying to be like anyone else. Yeah.
Kindly give us your number.
Yeah, my number, if you could check out our website, it's Love Foundation Kenya Upendo, and my number is 0721 291315. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. So something just short, very short. We're running out of time. Yeah, you want to encourage other men.
She has said about her brother, Julius Kim and Jane Kimani. They do a show on one of the main platforms, Kameme FM and Kameme TV. They also speak on matters of family. He mentioned something about working the relationship that you have, the one that you have, not the one you hope to have, the one that you have, working on it. I would encourage the young men, work on the relationship that you have. Leapfrogging from one relationship to another relationship is not where the key of success is, but working on the one that you have. And now the way to work it, invite God in it. Invite Christ in that relationship. Allow him to guide you by the Holy Spirit and the written word of God. Then be accountable to a local assembly. Be accountable to a local church. Find some accountable couples to commit yourself to so that they can help you to chart the journey together. You arrive here.
I'm sorry. I saw something you wrote about counseling.
Yeah.
Because we are running out of time. Just producer 5 minutes. So about counseling, so many couples they're not willing to go that way in church. So can you tell us briefly?
Yes, on my timeline on Facebook, if you're on social media, I use Richard Zimbalis as my username profile. You'll find something I wrote about the need for anyone who has gone through divorce, separation, trauma through grief, and loss of a loved one. People who have been rejected, people who have been going through abusive relationships. There's a need for you to go for prayer. But allow me to submit, because I've done a lot of counseling of couples and relationships and so many groups. I encourage, please subject yourself for counseling. Prayer gives you victory, but counseling gives you the strategy and the wisdom of how to procure that victory and to walk into it. It is in the will of God and the interest of God to guide you. There's a work we do as pastors, but oft time we don't encourage people to go for therapy and training, and it's critical. I laugh about when I think about our first night on our honeymoon. Yes. You remember we had not ever had sex, so we are just jiggling and laughing at each other because we didn't know so many things. But therapy, counseling, tell us information for you that helps you to get to the destination. However, they prayed for me. But how do I get there? Counseling helps me to know what to do.
We shall have you again and again and again. Thank you so much, Pastor Zim and Pastor Lydia. And we really had fun. We enjoyed. And I know people are so blessed and people are going to learn a lot. And thank you so much for watching Penzi Halisi. I'm your host, Julia Omore. Thank you so much.